Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching, and this is the Business Spotlight. And I'm very excited to be interviewing Shelley Armato, who's the CEO of My Smart Plans. And I don't want to tell any of her story, but she's a badass, and I love her already. And I'm looking forward to meeting her sometime. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and I know that you're going to have great answers because you have a really great story just in the time that we've gotten to know each other. So, all right, Shelley, tell us about this business, My Smart Plans, and how long have you been doing it? Tell us about it as best you can, what you do.
Yeah. Okay. So it's one of those stories, not that we could cuss, but if we were going to, I'd be like, it was a shit show. And my husband came from the industry of construction, 43 years. He owned a legacy business. He's Sicilian. And in their culture, you buy your dad's business and the legacy continues. So this is a third generation company that he owned. He was the largest commercial painting contractor in Kansas City for 43 years. He was the go-to guy. So this is so funny. Like we were just in JFK, and we had we're working on the middle of this $19 billion tunnel project, and we were just exhausted. And anyway, we're in the airport, and this guy yells out, "Dominic Armato," and I'm like, "Oh my God, shut up! Who is that?" Well, that is Johnny Louie David and our cousins, just like everywhere we go. We were up in the heads in wherever, North Dakota or wherever they are. And we were at that wall drug and somebody's yelling across the wall drug, "Dominic Armato." I'm like, oh my God, shut.
Wow.
Yes, this is Dominic Armato. So this was my husband 19 years ago. He is the foundation of our company. He is a brilliant businessman. Anyway, he bid a federal project, Whiteman Air Force Base. And on a federal project, you have to bond the project. What bonding means, not everyone knows, is that you bond all of your assets. So our house, my businesses, his business, you name it, it was all wrapped up in this bond because you have to be able to secure that you're able to do these contracts. Yet there's no accountability. There's no way for you to defend your position. You're just like subject to, like, oh, here, we're going to be friends, like in construction, you just shake hands, look, you are Mr. Kansas City. Anyway, so the project just went totally south. The Corps of Engineers still smirks about it. Oh, it was the Whiteman project you guys run? Yeah, it cost us $850,000 to close his company. And we went from being a Disney World family down to Fairyland, which Fairyland is an old park here. We couldn't even have gotten a World of Fun. But anyway, and we were just like, wait, what happened? And so we started this blueprint company. And we're like, okay, I still sold real estate. I've always been a disruptor. So in that industry, I was disrupting. And anyway, we started this reprographic company thinking, well, Dominic will be able to run this reprographic company because, he understands whatever. And we started realizing all the missing documents that were coming to us to go ahead and print them. We'll catch that up later. And Dominic's like, what do you mean catch it up later? I'm on the job. I need to know what's missing. So we started with this idea in 2006, believe it or not, in a 700 square foot garage, $15,000. And we started realizing the fox just caught the tail. What is going on?
Wow.
So we've bootstrapped our company for 19 years, which is unheard of. We have people, I'm not kidding, every day call me, yeah, we would like to invest in your company. I'm like, you don't have enough money to invest in my company. No. One of the guys is like, oh, you're a woman? We invest in companies that aren't led by women. And I'm like, no, you don't. Not my company. So anyway, I took the lead. And so I'm oh my gosh, we're just on a personal mission, but we've impacted the federal government budget by $7 billion we know of. There's a lot of other line items that we impact, but we haven't spent a lot of time going through the federal budget and going, oh, wait a second. Oh yeah, we also impact that. We just are on a personal mission to say, let's bring accountability to this industry, transparency, efficiency. Let's give all stakeholders the ability to defend their contracts. And so here we are.
I love it. You were also interviewed about the bridge collapse that happened here. So that happened in the late March of 2024. And you were actually interviewed to talk about that. How did that interview go? And what did you say in that interview?
Yeah, so everybody wanted to know, well, what happened? What happened to that bridge? What is the condition of all the bridges in America? They were just ridiculous questions like, okay, look, nobody knows. And they will never be able to come to the correct summation because they don't have the data that they need to be able to make decisions. I'm talking about the last meeting minutes on the project. What were they doing on the repair? Who was doing the repair? I mean, there's all of these things that whenever you have that complete digital library that is audit ready in the hands of a third party, no one can manipulate the data. So I talked a lot about that. I was actually on the truckers radio. It's called Truck Dog on something XM radio. And anyway, I love the truckers in our country. They make our country, run. But I started talking about what if we had a clearinghouse, like where you could call, like you can dial 911, you can dial 633 and say, hey, I'm looking at this bridge right now. There's a huge chunk of concrete that just fell off of it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happened. And, but they build them and it's in the hands, all the documents are in the hands of the general contractor and they're trying to do the best they can to make as much money as they can. And so with our solution, it's third party. We're like the Uber to the taxi industry. It's like, this is what happened.
I love that story. I think that's great. And congratulations for being asked to be on that interview. I think that really, really says a lot about you, obviously. But okay, so what's been the biggest learning curve since you started your business in your industry? You talked about that a little bit, starting out in the garage and getting and not having money, but what else? What's the biggest learning curve you've had in these 19 years?
Relationships. I mean, in this industry, the general contractor has just taken a hold of the illusion of, we'll get it built for you, blah, blah, blah. So we have disrupted the relationships that are unhealthy. We've disrupted the handshakes behind the wink, wink of the eye. We've given, but I thought everybody would want to do better. I'm naive this way. I mean, that's why my shirt says kindness. I'm going to quit wearing it, I think. But anyway.
It suits you. Really does.
But I don't know. Sometimes not so much. But just the idea that on these, like one of these airports we just actually contracted with, the leadership called me and said, look, you're going to have to sign an NDA. And I'm like, okay, we sign NDAs all the time. We can't talk about our projects, which is another challenge to go to the market and be like, oh, we just built KCI and we found blah, blah, blah. So anyway, they said, some of these contracts, we don't necessarily want the public to know about because, they could be just a little different. And I'm like, really, I haven't heard that before, but the public has no idea. We just keep spending money and our taxes keep going up and our schools keep going down and our kids are, they don't need this or whatever. They need everything. It's our foundation of our country is education. So I'm disrupting on all levels.
I love it. I absolutely do. So about the industry, what do people like me who don't understand the industry, what do we misunderstand about the construction industry and doing construction in government? I think that's really important, right? So what do we misunderstand? What do we think is
Well, probably you already have an illusion of what you misunderstand. You probably already think, is that really like that? I mean, like there's this whole clearinghouse, the GSA has this clearinghouse, you have to be registered on the schedule. That costs money to be registered on the schedule. And it doesn't matter because there's a way around it anyway. If they want to hire you, they figure out a way to hire you. I mean, it's just, when I first started, I was approached by a big federal project. They're like, look, you can pay our friend and then he can pay me. And we were actually sitting in a restaurant and he's telling me this. And I thought, I'm like, that's really weird. Why would I do that? If you want a commission, why don't I just pay you a commission? He said, well, this is a federal project. You go to jail for that, but you won't go to jail because you're married to your husband. And I'm like, I can guarantee you. I use the word guarantee. I don't know. My mom and I, we make
I like that guarantee.
I guarantee you, I'm not the girl for you. And I literally got up and left them sitting at the table. Like I said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and not today. And I left, and I ended up getting on the project, and it was one of our first $1 billion projects. But there's some testimonials on our website. First time in the history of the GSA, no pending litigation. They had their closeout documents. They had their as-built. There was no rebuilds. I mean, it just keeps outperforming. Boom, 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 boom. But, there's a lot of grifters in this industry. There's a lot of time that is spent that doesn't need to be spent. But there's no oversight.
No oversight. Just wrapped up in red tape too, right? And it just messes everything
up. Martinis. Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
I was at a dinner with on a really big project. The owner's rep brought us in and I was like, I was the only woman at the table. Okay. Capitol Grill. They put us in the middle of the restaurant, which I was like, this is really random. Big table. And it was $1 billion hospital build. And they brought the whole tower. I call it the Tower of Terror because it's like this huge tower of every kind of, rich person's meal. And I'm sitting there and they're like, do you want something to drink? And he's like, oh, I'll have a dirty martini, which I still don't know what dirty martini is. Why would I use the word dirty in the middle of anything I'm going to drink? But anyway, it came with like bacon and onions and olives and this huge significant cup, and anyway, long story short, my client ended up in jail. It was I had never seen anyone get raped with significance like I saw at this meal. I mean, the contractor's like, oh, we know everything about your family. Wow, your son's going to play in the NFL. We saw his high school football game and your wife is so beautiful. And I'm sitting here like, do all y'all know him? All y'all. I mean, y'all know him, And so anyway, the last question was, hey, what's the real number? What's the real number? He was 4 martinis in. 4. Oh. And I just had one little glass of wine. I was sipping it like.
Clear-headed. Wow.
I was just like, are y'all, is this really happening? And I mean, you all think I'm stupid? I mean, I'm going to sit here and let you do this? But anyway, we had a legal team bring us in on that project. They said, you can't afford to litigate. You have to have my smart plans. The only solution in the market that can guarantee you're not going to litigate. And so.
Pretty cool guarantee. Pretty cool.
It's going to be a great Netflix series. That's all I got to say.
I love it.
Me and Aaron Brockovich, I'm like, we could have a drink together.
My smart plans speech starring Shelley Armato and Lee Gray. No, I'm just kidding. Somewhere, I don't know.
We'll be up on the stage getting a Grammy or whatever award you get. Be like, oh, yeah, it was a shit show to start with, but whoa.
Well, I'm sure that Aaron Brockovich was too. That was a great story when it came out. So
yeah.
So what's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur? Because still at the end of the day, you're your own boss, or everybody's your boss, I guess, if you want to call it that. What's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur? And then what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Hardest part, I mean, it's always capital. Like, what's the most affordable capital? Because everybody in the market's like, oh, you have to get what is it called? It's an investor, but they call it something else. And it sounds so sexy that like, oh, we have investors. No, I am not going to do that. So
private equity.
Capital. Yeah, private equity. Oh, we have a private equity fund. No, we don't. But especially because they want to have a board of directors and tell me what to do. I'm like, yeah, my daddy, it didn't work out. So I'm pretty sure y'all ain't going to do good on that. But anyway, and then also I had my identity stolen during COVID and the state of Kansas. So we have all of our, I'm in every kind of certified everything. I mean, like woman owned, whatever. Okay. And I think that's where they targeted the stealing of our data. So my identity was stolen. And I got a card in the mail. Oh, look, you get unemployment benefits. And I was like, I am not unemployed, people. But anyway,
wow.
So then my credit score, they applied. I mean, it was a mess. And so I'm resilient. So I'm like, okay, wait a second. I'm going to go flip another house and make 70, or I'm going to go flip a building, or because on the weekends, that's what I do. I go into houses and make them beautiful, just like I'm doing the construction industry. I make things beautiful. So
I love that.
The good thing I like about it is I have total ability to write my own check. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Where am I going to go? Yeah.
I like that you have the flip thing with your real estate on the side. And you said you mainly do commercial stuff. You flip commercial, which is kind of both.
No. Oh yeah, both. It doesn't matter. Okay. I can look at anything. Well, my husband's from the industry also. So he did the Argosy Casino, Union Station. My husband is I don't know that I use the word right. Somebody told me I say it like it's a beer maker, artisan.
Oh,
I don't know.
Artisan.
Artisan. It's one of those vowels that need to be the I before the O. I'm like, it's one of those lessons I'm supposed to learn, but I got
I love it. That's great. So I ask all the entrepreneurs that I work with, how do you start your day?
Well, I start my day at my night. So I listen all night long to the guy's name's Jason Stevenson. It's all about rewiring my subconscious mind.
Oh, okay.
And so I only sleep to nighttime meditation. So I start there. I wake up in the morning with gratitude and joy, and I always am listening for the birds to sing, because no matter what, the birds are singing. Even in bed, I can hear one chirp somewhere. So I start out my morning with gratitude. I'm on a prayer line every morning because I am nothing without my Father, God. And so I start that way. And I call myself the good news reporter on my prayer line because I'm like, even when things are really bad, we can always find good news. So, yeah, I'm the
Well,
good
I'm
news reporter.
stealing that.
Yeah,
Love that. That's great.
do it. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm so with you on the birds. I think as you get older, you appreciate what that means. It sort of means freedom, and it means stop and listen and be
Yeah.
still or something. It's pretty cool.
Well, also they're not saying, "Hey, God, I'm hungry." Hey,
Right. They're
you
just
know what I
happy,
mean?
happy, happy, happy.
Yeah. It's like I know there's going to be a worm for me. I also collect dimes. So when my dad died, I started getting dimes, and so I have 3 sitting on my desk that I found. But it's the weirdest thing. They'll be like in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, that's a dime that blends in with that, and I can see it. So
Wow. Well, you have
yeah.
we call that your reticular activating system. It's your brain is
Oh,
focused on
yeah,
it. So it's going to
yeah. I
find
have a
it.
reticulator,
Okay. Oh,
like the
that's cool.
percolator, the coffee pot, percolating.
I'm with you. So what makes you feel inspired?
Oh my gosh, I live to serve.
Mm.
I know that my paycheck serves the world. So we fed 15,000 men at City Union Mission. We just actually fed Andy Reid also. My husband is a
Oh,
chef.
really?
And so,
Oh.
yeah, so he makes this sauce. We call it Sunday sauce. And it's Sicilian Sun's famous Sunday sauce. You can't buy it on the market. But anyway, that's the name of it. And so we feed people and we feed them the best meals. Like we're
Mm.
talking filet mignon, and we believe that everybody has a possibility of being great. And so we believe that whenever you show kindness but I mean, sometimes when I'm down, I run up to McDonald's and I'll buy 25 cheeseburgers. And I find unsuspecting people that would not think someone that looks like me driving the car that I drive would give a crap about them. And I hand out hamburgers or, oh my God, Saturday mornings, the biscuits at McDonald's are so cheap, sausage biscuit. And so we can feed, 50 people and they all gather at the same place on Saturday morning
Yeah.
and just show up and we're just like, it don't matter where you start, baby. It matters where you finish. So
That's
have a
cool.
biscuit.
Love it. So what's your favorite business book? You showed me a business book that you were reading right now, but when we first started, so what's your favorite business book that you would recommend to other entrepreneurs to read?
Well, you know what? I only read inspirational books. My favorite book in the whole entire world it's called Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire, and it's by Jim Cymbala. He's the pastor of the Brooklyn Tabernacle Church, and it's in New York City, and it is the most inspiring stories of what God can do because he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And so I believe I have a calling in my position. I believe, my foundation is about families because not many families would have survived what we did. But luckily for the grace of God, my husband and I are just warrior people. And we're just like, once we got done fighting, I'm like, what did you do? I don't. And anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then also I have, you can't see, but I have probably 50 essential oils. And so anytime I get into a situation where I feel like I'm not at capacity, I do that. And then I have these essential flower oils. And so when I'm feeling like I have a story that started like, you are not going to get on that $19 billion tunnel project, Shelley. I mean, do you really think that in New York City, you're going to get on that project? I'm like, hang on a second. Let me do a little couple.
Oh,
Then I'm on
absolutely.
the phone.
Change your
Hey,
brain.
Anthony. Yes.
Change your brain. That's
Yes.
what you.
Well, I also do a thing called Set, which actually rewires the trauma in your brain, and you no longer have access to shame and guilt. And so I can't, like this one lady I was talking to, and she was referred to me by the Corps of Engineers, and I'm not going to say her name, Tammy. Anyway, she's like, you totally offended me. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, I offended you? I mean, what did I do to offend you? Well, it's because I talked about the corruption that we catch, and she didn't like that word. And I'm like, do you want me to use a different word like thievery? I don't know. So anyway, I tried to access my shame and guilt part of my brain, and I could not get there. I was like, you offended someone. It's not my thing to offend people. I don't roll like that. And anyway, I drive to the car wash when I get really desperate. I have an unlimited pass. So I'm like, okay, taking a break, and I drive to the car wash, and I feel better for some reason. But anyway, I was like, I can't access shame and guilt. That's really interesting. Why would I have accessed that anyway? I don't even know this woman. I mean, are you kidding?
Right.
Yeah.
What was that therapy called? What was it?
It's called Cereset, Cereset. And it's technology instead of talk therapy. You literally, and there's nothing like it in the world. So it's made like, well, it's like this or it's like that. No, it's not like anything. Because trust me, I have done everything.
Okay.
And it just rewires the fluid in your brain that narrow paths. I mean, there's specific words, but anyway, you can't access the old emotions that you use that drive present day decisions.
Okay.
So shame
Ooh,
and guilt is from the
powerful.
past. I know. And so it's like, oh, okay, so something happened to me when I was young, so I can have a similar situation as an adult that has some of the characteristics that I go back to those old skills. And this is like, you can't do, they're gone. I'm like, I don't have access to those things anymore. So it's kind of like a roadblock. Yeah.
Usually
It's
we don't need the skills we learned at 6.
No, but
Usually
we
we
use
need
them.
to
We
adjust
use
them.
them.
Yeah,
I know.
we sure do.
We don't even know that we're using them. We
Yeah.
don't even know that dysfunction that happened, that we assigned something to as a child as being helpless or, all the words.
Right. Yeah.
Then we go back and we're like, oh, well, here, this feels familiar, so I'll use that. And, then I'll go and drink. Cause I mean, I'm a reformed alcoholic. I'm a reformed sex addict. I'm a reformed. I already been through the reforms. And it's all because I'm an innovator in my personal health, and I drive my decisions with, I'm going to be the strongest woman that ever showed up in this world, that is here to defend these contracts and our country. Because I mean, one of the hospitals was 400 million over budget. And guess what? The Corps of Engineers got up with their little uniform. They're like, oh, we did a ribbon cutting. And I'm like, I don't really think you're entitled to ribbon cutting. Matter of fact, I don't even think you're entitled to hold that position. If you do those kind of things, knowing that there's a solution that stops it, because there is a solution and it's our system, and the Corps of Engineers is pushing back on us like you cannot believe. But they're they got their badges, they're boom. And I'm like, no, see, I'm going to walk around you all y'all. I'm walking around you. They have a new woman in charge. So Congressman Cleaver's setting up a meeting with her. And I'm hoping to testify in front of Congress. I email the president every day. My big badass dream is to be in the White House in the next 60 days with a personal meeting with someone that gives a shit about protecting our country and the budgets and the things that happen to contractors that until now, there's never been a choice. You just have to suffer through it. And then I showed up.
Cool. So when it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember you for?
First, oh my God, probably my kindness and my resilience. And I'm willing to talk about hard things. And that's why my Netflix series is going to be so relevant, because I'm going to talk about the hard things that happened to me so that other people can have freedom from their hard things.
So you get to keep that shirt.
I do.
Yeah, you do. It's you.
It's 3 times too big. My mom's like, Sugar. They call me Sugar. Sugar, that shirt is so big on you. I'm like, I know, Mama. I love it.
Well, people can find you at Shelley, Shelley, Shelley at mysmartplans.com. Also, you're on LinkedIn. Your website's the same thing, mysmartplans.com.
Yeah.
And so I'm really thrilled to have this interview with you. I feel like I have a new friend.
I feel like that too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We need more friends, right?
What?
I said we need more friends.
We do. Yeah, we do, for sure.
Oh my God. Somebody's got your back that is not talking behind your back. I mean, if I can't wait to be able to expose the conversations I've been in of men that think it's okay to disparage us. I mean, one real last quick story, one of our big airports we went on, we had already done a bunch of work, the owner's rep, so they hire owner's reps because the owner's rep is going to, protect the project from blah, 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 but the owner's rep is in the same game as everybody else. So anyway, I'm sitting in this meeting and this guy he could see when I walked in the room that I was going to hand him his, what. So anyway, he's looking at me and the first thing he kind of does this thing like, oh, I'm like, oh my God, is that all you got? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I sit down like my little gracious woman. Oh, sir, you're so brilliant. I mean, look at all these projects you've done. I'm sure you understand the power of transparency. Anyway, so the owners, all the airport people are in the room at this time, and he's looking at me like, you could tell, like, yeah. Anyway, so the owner's like, listen, we're going to go on. You go ahead and finish this, blah, blah, blah. And so as soon as they left, I call him Pinocchio. He had this nose that was like, and it just kept growing. And he goes, listen, you're not good for me. I said, sir, I'm not really familiar with your or do you have an accent? I don't know what you're saying. And my husband is over here watching like, you probably shouldn't tell her that because I mean, you're going to walk away with, you know. So anyway, I said, I'm confused on your reference to not good for you. Good for you how? I mean, I'm married. I don't know what you're talking about because I have a big old ring. And so anyway, well, you know, this isn't good for me. You know, we bank on all those change orders. And I said, sir, hang on, let me see if I got your spelling right. Can you spell your name again? He's like telling me, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to use your name in my Netflix series because you're exactly what arrogant men do. You're arrogant and you think you have the right to take everyone else's money and call it your own. And I'm not okay with that. So I want to appreciate your time. I want to let you know that you're probably going to hear a lot about your name, but I'm not afraid of you. I have no fear of you. I'm disgusted by your behavior. I did not get that contract. My husband's over there like, I wasn't going to get it anyway. I could have been a song and dance, whoop, 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 you know. I could have put some money under, hey, look, I'll pay you under the table because I really like to think about having to not sleep at night. I'm like, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm going to do the right thing on all circumstances. And if you have a problem with it, you are on the wrong side of right. So go on with yourself. That's all I got to say, Mr. Pinocchio. So,
no integrity compromise at all.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, now you can sleep that way.
Yeah, well, that's what our solution does. There's no integrity compromise. And that's what the industry does. People change meeting minutes, they change contracts, and you have no idea what's been changed. The construction litigators are like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, wait, okay, I got to tell this real quick. I went to a conference. I got to go. But anyway, I went to this conference, and I accidentally went to the conference thinking it was a different conference. And anyway, so I'm sitting in this conference in California, and it was all the Arbitrators of America, AAA, Arbitrators of America. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, all y'all are going to have to get another job. Because, I mean, they're banking on the arbitration happening. And they're like, well, it takes us several hours just to coordinate our calendars. And I raise my hand. Well, first I text my mom. I go, Mom, I am sitting in a room of people that are going to hate me. She goes, girl, you were made for that. Okay. So anyway, yes, I have a question. Yeah, does anyone run their construction project audit ready so you don't have to suffer with construction litigation and those things? And Kiewit is on the stage and they're like, we lost $140 million on one of our projects, but they don't care because whatever. Anyway, and he goes, oh, that's not possible. I said, oh, well, sir, I stood up then. My name's Shelley Armato. I'd like to introduce my concept and my solution to the industry. And some of y'all probably won't like me, but it's okay. You'll be fine later. And so anyway, I was like, oh, then I sat down. I'm like, did I just do that? I did just do that. I mean, that's it. And then when I called to make an appointment with the guy that seemed like he cared, he's like, oh, you know, I mean, haba. I'm like, I'm going to write you the Netflix series. David, I got your card right here. I mean, I want to make sure I got the spelling right.
I think the Netflix series thing is a good threat. It really is. Well,
yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching. I just finished the interview with Shelley Armato, and she is the CEO of My Smart Plans. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to spending some time with you in the future. Bye, Shelley.
Yeah.